This podcast has been produced by Contact a Family, the UK charity supporting families with disabled children. Have you heard the term special educational needs, or SEN? Are you unsure what this means or how to get educational support to help your child learn and achieve to the best of their ability? I spoke to two of Contact a Family's helpline advisors to find out more about the special educational needs process for children who need additional support in education. Can you explain to me what the term special educational needs, or SEN, means?
Yes, special educational needs, SEN, has a legal meaning. The Education Act 1996 defines children with special educational needs as children who've got a considerably greater difficulty in learning than others of the same age. It also includes children who can't use the educational facilities which other children of a similar age use because of their disability.
If a parent's concerned about their child's progress at school and thinks they might need extra help, what can they do?
Speak to someone at the school, the class teacher or the SENCO. The SENCO, that's a term that you might hear quite often. It stands for the Special Educational Needs Coordinator.
What about if your child's under school age?
If your child's under school age and you are concerned they have special educational needs, just speak to one of the professionals that's involved with the child's care. So this could be, your health visitor, paediatrician, social worker.
What sort of help might be put in place to support your child?
If your child's attending school and you think they do have special educational needs, schools often use a graduated response, so there's different levels of response and support that they can put in place. The starting point is usually a differentiated curriculum. That means they change the level of the lesson to meet the needs of all the children in their class. If that isn't working, your child still has additional needs, the school might put in something in place called School Action or School Action Plus.
Can you tell us what School Action and School Action Plus are?
School Action is when your child receives support or interventions that are additional or different to those that are provided as part of the school's normal curriculum and teaching strategies. And School Action Plus is where they've called for additional help from outside. It may be, for example, that the behaviour support team has become involved. And this would be recorded in an IEP, which stands for an Individual Education Plan.
Is there an assessment for an IEP?
No. If you have an IEP, often your child will be on School Action or School Action Plus, and the IEP, the Individual Education Plan, records your child's needs and what support the school's putting in place as a result of those needs.
And is that something that is decided by the teacher?
It's normally decided through the teacher and the SENCO. The parents should be involved in that process. The child's views are important and should be taken into account as well.
If a child's been put on School Action Plus and the support provided isn't meeting the child's needs, where do the parents go from there?
The parents could consider asking for what's known as a statutory assessment, but your child doesn't need to be on School Action Plus to request a statutory assessment.
What's a statutory assessment?
Well, a statutory assessment is the starting point of what's known as the statementing process.
I have heard advisors on the helpline talking about statements. What is a statement?
A statement's a legal document outlining your child's needs and the support needed to meet those needs.
And how's the assessment carried out?
You or the school can request a statutory assessment, and you request this from your local authority. And the statutory assessment is basically a multi-professional assessment of your child's needs. So lots of different professionals will see your child, maybe in different situations, and then write a report. You as a parent will also be asked to provide evidence. If you're going to request one, it's always a really good idea to let your school know, just because the local authority will be contacting the school to ask them for their opinion of your child's special educational needs.
And the assessment that's carried out by the professionals, do they do their assessment all at the same time, or do you have to go to lots of different appointments?
It really does depend. It might take place in your child's school. It might be that an educational psychologist may visit your child at school, maybe at different times, just to observe your child. You can also say if there's any professionals that you would like the local authority to contact for evidence, and maybe the paediatrician that they're seeing, and they may just write a report.
If a parent requests a statutory assessment and the local authority refuses to do it, is there any appeal?
Yes, you can appeal to the First Tier Tribunal, Special Educational Needs and Disability, often referred to as SENDITS. There are time limits involved, and it's a good idea to get some further advice. There are also time limits on how long a statutory assessment should take. Please phone the helpline for more information.
Do you have to wait before your child goes to school to request a statutory assessment and start the statementing process?
No, you can request a statutory assessment at any age, and so either you or any of the professionals involved with your child can request a statutory assessment if it's needed before a child starts school. If your child is under 2 years old and you request a statutory assessment, then the local authority has to carry it out.
After a statutory assessment, is a statement automatically granted?
No, the local authority looks at the evidence and decides whether or not to issue a statement. If they do decide to issue a statement, they'll first of all issue what's known as a proposed statement. If they don't issue a statement and you're not happy about that, then you can appeal to SEN. There are time limits, and do phone the helpline for more information.
What can a parent do if they're not happy about the proposed statement?
If you're not happy with it, you can have meetings to discuss it. And it's really important that you get the right sort of detail in the statement, and what's put in place you think is going to really meet your child's needs. So it's important that the provision in the statement is really specific and quantified. For example, if your child needs speech and language therapy, make sure the proposed statement says how many hours a week your child will get.
When a parent's attending these meetings, can they take anybody with them?
It's really down to you. Obviously, you can take someone with you, and that might be a good idea if you feel that you would need some additional support. And it's often a good idea to have someone else in the room who can help remember what's been said. You might want to take a friend or a relative, or someone from your parent partnership service can also support you.
Do parents get a choice about the school that's named on the statement?
When you get the statement, one part of it will be left blank, so you can name the school that you want your child to attend, and this may be a mainstream school or maybe a special school. There is now a strengthened right for parents to request a mainstream school if you do want your child to attend a mainstream school.
Once the final statement's issued, can you appeal if you're unhappy?
Yes, you can appeal to SEN if you're unhappy with the final statement.
Once the statement's been issued, if it highlights support that's required and the school aren't providing that support, how can parents address this?
Well, you certainly speak to someone at the school, but it's actually the local authority that's ultimately responsible for ensuring provision in the statement is met. If your child isn't getting the provision in the statement, you can contact the local government ombudsman service. Please phone the helpline for more information about that.
Who can help a parent through this process?
At a local level, the Parent Partnership Service should be able to help. All local authorities have to have a Parent Partnership Service to help parents through the special educational needs process. If you phone the helpline, we can tell you which is your local Parent Partnership Service.
Once a statement's in place, is it revisited?
Yes, it should be reviewed annually, so it should be reviewed once a year.
And is that automatic, or do the parents have to initiate this?
A letter will normally be sent to you from the head teacher of the school asking you to attend the review meeting. It's a good idea just to make sure you are getting a review once a year. If not, do contact the school. If you felt the needs have changed, you can ask to bring forward the annual review. There might be other action you want to take, and so I would definitely recommend ringing the helpline so we can go through it in a bit more detail.
Do all children who go on to School Action and School Action Plus eventually have a statement?
No, not all children do. For some children their needs might be met at School Action, for others at School Action Plus, and for others they may need that additional support that's required through a statement. For some children as well, they may only be on, say, School Action or School Action Plus for a short period of time, depending on their needs. They may get that input of additional support and then they may no longer need that extra support. So it is a fluid thing, and you may move, from School Action to School Action Plus, or you may move off it. It really will depend.
Do all disabled children have special educational needs?
No. For example, a child with severe asthma may have a disability which would be covered by the Disability Discrimination Act, but they may not have special educational needs. It can also be the case that a child who may have special educational needs is not necessarily covered by the Disability Discrimination Act.
And what's the Disability Discrimination Act?
The Disability Discrimination Act is a piece of legislation which makes it unlawful for any school or provider of education to discriminate against disabled pupils. And by discrimination they mean less favourable treatment of a disabled pupil that the school cannot justify, or failure to make reasonable adjustments to ensure that a disabled pupil is not placed at a substantial disadvantage compared to non-disabled pupils.
We've talked about the special educational needs process, but really it's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many other issues, transition and exclusion, and it can be so frustrating, I think, for parents and demoralising in trying to get the help they want for their child. So please do phone the helpline.
This podcast is focused on special educational needs in England. There are variations to the process in Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. Do call the Contact a Family free phone helpline to discuss these variations, or if you have any questions regarding your child's education. The number is 0808 808 3555. Contact a Family produces a publication which covers the topic of this podcast in further detail, called Special Educational Needs England. We also produce publications that focus on education in Wales and Scotland. You can download a free copy from our website at www.cafamily.org.uk, or request a free copy from the helpline, and the number again is 0808 808 3555. This podcast was produced in July 2010, and all information was correct at the time of production.